This is not a very good thing to say about yourself. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about MSNBC host Joy-Ann Reid making a stunning revelation on her show. She says that the only reason why she got into Harvard is because of affirmative action. Now, why would you say such a thing? First of all, how do you know that's the case? I mean, did you have really low SAT scores? Are you not that intelligent? Like, how do you know the only reason why you got into Harvard is because of affirmative action? But beyond that, I mean, do you not have any faith in your own ability as a person? Do you not have any faith in your own intelligence? Like, I would never say a thing like that ever in my life. I mean, it boggles the mind. It's self-deprecating at best. And of course, this is obviously a way for her to try to protest against a recent Supreme Court decision that strikes down race-based admissions in college. And before I go any further into it, let's roll the clip. If you want to see this clip in full without my commentary, link as always will be in the description box. But this is her speaking to Chris Hayes over on the network about her journey into college. And there's quite a few things here we got to talk about. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Well, let me just be clear. I got into Harvard only because of affirmative action. I went to a school no one had ever heard of in Denver, Colorado, in a small suburb. I didn't go to Exeter or Andover. I didn't have college test prep. I just happened to be really nerdy and smart and have really good grades and good SAT scores. Right. But
You were really nerdy, really smart, and had really good SAT scores. So wouldn't that be a qualification to get into Harvard? Did you apply to Harvard? So did you apply to Harvard? Did you have the SAT scores? Did you have the grades? Are you smart? Are you nerdy? Did you qualify to get into Harvard? And if you did, then how are you going to credit that to affirmative action? Let's continue.
Came to Denver, Colorado to look for me. A Harvard recruiter flew to Denver, and I met up with her at the Village Inn restaurant and did a pre-interview to get to pull me into Harvard. I was pulled in, and the schools like Harvard and Yale that I got into affirmatively. Yes. And it was literally not saying we're going to take an unqualified person and put them in Harvard. Yes. We're going to take a very qualified person who we would never know existed and put them in Harvard. That's how.
Why would they not know that you exist? Did you apply to Harvard? If you apply to Harvard and you qualified, they know you exist. Why would they are they racist? So if not for affirmative action, do you think Harvard would ignore you? Why would they do that? They want to go above and beyond. It's a woke place at this particular point. They want to go above and beyond to get more blacks and Hispanics in there. So there'd be no need for affirmative action. They would want you there if you qualify. And if you apply, that's how they would know that you exist.
How I got there. That's how Ketanji got there. That's how Justice Jackson, I should say. Justice Jackson got there. It's how Clarence Thomas got there. Right. But the minute I arrived from my majority black little town, Montbello in Denver, to Harvard, the first week or two that I was in class, my presence was questioned by white people. I was in this big conference class where some white students stood up and said, those students, the black students, they're only here because of affirmative action. It became a huge argument that we all ended up having. This was freshman year. I had never had my academic credentials questioned. I had never had anyone question whether I was intelligent until I got to Harvard. And it was a defining point of my experience there. It's why I really was one of the many reasons I was miserable there my freshman year. Yeah. You feel completely out of place and people keep telling you shouldn't be here. And yet some of the people I went to school with were far less smart than me or the other black folk there. They got in because their daddy and their granddaddy. I went to school with somebody whose name was on one of the buildings. You're going to school with people whose names are on the buildings, who are third and fourth generation legacies, whose parents pumped money into Harvard to get them in. But that affirmative action is okay with this majority.
Okay, I want to pause the game right quick. There's a lot, as she said here. I mean, this whole thing about legacy admissions, that's an overblown situation. You can eliminate legacies, but there's going to be a minuscule difference in the admission rate. Minuscule. I put up a stat. I might put it on the screen right here if I can find it in my favorites. But the stat said that if you only admitted the top 10% of applicants to Harvard, that means no preferences for legacy, no race preferences, nothing. Just the top 10% of applicants. The white share of Harvard students would drop by about 1.82, like right around 2%. Give or take about 0.5%. It's right around 2% drop. The Asian percentage would double from like 24.8, 24.9 to 51.1, something like that. Blacks and Hispanics would drop dramatically. Blacks would go from about 15.8 to about 0.9. Hispanics about 14 point something to about 2 point something. So the whole legacy admissions thing is an overblown thing. You could eliminate that. It's still not going to change the fact that a place like Harvard, if it's only based on merit, grades, GPA, prior performance, it's still going to be overwhelmingly Asian and white. That's just the reality. And it'd be more Asians there than white. So this whole thing about white supremacy is bogus. Okay, you're just totally ignoring the fact that the Asians do better than everybody. Let's continue.
They said that the people who benefited from slavery, their descendants, who are so far ahead of black folk in terms of opportunity that we'll never catch up to them. I don't care how many Oprahs we get. Those people's affirmative action is A-OK because those people can pay for fancy trips for them. Yeah. But you people who want to get in just because of your brains, but you're not from a legacy, too bad. You can't come in.
So that's Joy Reid. Now, a little bit about Joy Reid, if you don't know. She is a first-generation immigrant. I believe she was born here, but her father is from Africa, DR Congo, and her mom is from Guyana. So she is first-generation immigrant. So if this country is so racist and so bad, why'd your mom and dad come here from different countries in the world? But hey, different story. I digress. The whole point is that, okay, your parents are probably very intelligent. I'm not sure what your dad does, probably a doctor or something, right? I came to New York, then you went to Denver, Colorado. You got intelligent parents. You're intelligent. Why'd you get into Harvard? Because most likely you are also intelligent. Your parents probably stayed together, probably still married to this day if they're still living. They raised you properly. They put you in the books. They did what was necessary for you to succeed, Ms. Reid. Okay? That's what they did for you. All right, so I'm not really trying to hear this whole thing about, oh, well, the reason why they got me is because I'm black and they wouldn't know about me. Is that the case? And then how can you say that about everybody else? Any other black person that went to Harvard, the only reason why they went there is because they're black? You're talking about Ketanji Brown Jackson. You're talking about Clarence Thomas. It's funny how you call her Justice Jackson, but not Justice Thomas. Different story. I digress. And then you say that the white students pointed at you and said, the only reason why they're here is because of affirmative action. But you said everybody that's black, including yourself, got there because of affirmative action. So why are you mad at them for pointing out what you confirmed? I don't think that you should be there just because of affirmative action. But if that's the case and you're confirming it, then why are you mad? Let me come back so you can see me clearly. This is ridiculous. It was pretty pathetic. And I hate stuff like that. I'm glad they eliminated affirmative action when you're talking about college admissions. I'm so glad they did that because I want everybody to go to a school based on merit. Are you intelligent? Are you prepared? Do you have high scores? Can you read? I saw a stat that said it might have been only 18% of fourth grade black, it might have been boys or black kids, probably the boys, only 18% of them can read at a proficient grade level. And then once you get to that particular stage in your K through 12 career and you are struggling to read, you're probably not going to catch up. The statistics play out, you're probably not going to catch up because I think once they reviewed that same group 5 years later, it was pretty much the same. I think it went from 18%. It might have actually dropped from like 18 to 16 or something like that. I'll link to that particular stat in the box so you can see it for yourself. But as I close, I want to say this. Affirmative action in college admissions is not the way to increase black intellectuals and help us succeed in the world. How about early education? I always say this. People say, hey, why so many black kids can't read? Why are they behind? Well, what I was told by my dad, who was the son of two school teachers. So both of my grandparents on my dad's side were teachers in school in Roanoke, Virginia. What what he told me and what they told me is that a lot of black kids and Hispanic kids sometimes too, and or other races of kids that don't perform well in school, what happens is their parents are not teaching them anything at an early age. They're not teaching them how to count to 10, how to count to 100, how to write their own name, their phone number, their address, basic things like that, how to color within the lines. They're not teaching them how to read. They're not teaching them things, early skills that they're going to need when they get to K through 12. A lot of people whose kids don't perform very well, they just send their kids to the government school with nothing. Kindergarten, they're a blank slate. They can't write their own name. They can't spell at all. They can't read at all. They can't color. They can't tie their shoes. They have no skills. So, of course, they're going to go to K through 12 totally unprepared, and they're going to be behind throughout their careers. Meanwhile, white kids, Asian kids who succeed, not all of them succeed, but those out of those who do succeed, their parents are teaching them early. They're reading to them in the womb. They're doing flashcards. They're putting them in preschool, all kind of summer camps, and they're getting them skills. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, when they weren't woke, that's a different story. Anyway, the point is that they're educating them early before K through 12 and during K through 12, rather than just letting the school do whatever they want. So, of course, by the time they get to be 16 years old, they already have a career path. They want to be a chemical engineer or something like that. Meanwhile, the black kid is in class, goofing off, trying to chase girls, has no idea what he wants to be. And then he says, okay, now I want to go to Harvard. How are you even prepared to go to Harvard? You can barely read. And that is the problem. Early preparation, K through 12, taking it seriously, being prepared for the next step in your life. That is a problem. Very simple. Affirmative action will not solve that. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what Joy-Ann Reid said here? Do you think that the only reason she got into Harvard, Clarence Thomas got into Harvard, or wherever you went, do you think the only reason why they got into these elite institutions is because of affirmative action? No other reason. They weren't just brilliant. They weren't just smart. It's because of that. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This was a ridiculously pathetic display from Joy-Ann Reid. Shame on her. Shame on her to think that the only way you're going to be able to get into a high-ranking school as a black person is because of government policy. Oh, we can't just be intelligent. We can't just be smart. That's a racist thing to say, that because you're black or Hispanic or whatever the case may be, you're automatically not going to make it just because of your skin color. Is that tied to genetics? Are you doing some race realism right here? Are you doing some neo-Nazi white supremacy type thing, Miss Joy-Ann Reid? I hope not over there at MS13 DNC. I hope not, because you always preach against it, but you appear to be buying into the very rhetoric that you preach against. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.